Alright guys, it's been a challenging couple of days. So to start this video off, I just want to start off by saying that my dad is alive and he is out of the hospital, and we've actually, obviously, as you can see behind me, we have gotten home, and he is home here with us. He is still in quite a bit of pain. And to just go over, what happened with his body, he got a concussion, he cracked his L3 vertebrae, he bruised his hip bone, and he broke 4 ribs, and he also bruised a lung, and also his eyes were damaged a little bit in the crash, just from all of the G-forces and that kind of stuff. So overall, he, everything that I just mentioned is all stuff that he can recover from. So we are very thankful that, one, he's still with us, and two, he'll make a full recovery. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's just circle around right back to the beginning and pick up where we left off with the last video. So in the last video, you saw that we got the Volvo finished, and we were ready to go to sick week with the car. We were really excited to see how the car would perform, and as we mentioned in the previous video, sick week was going to be where the car got its very first pass. Now, we also brought my Fairmont station wagon with us, and we just made a whole bunch of changes on that car as well. So both cars were going down untested, and we were just going to gradually work our way up to bigger power numbers and, see how the cars performed. So registration day went super smooth, and a whole lot of you fans out there stopped and said hi, and I wanted to just thank everybody for that. It definitely made our day, and it was really neat to see all of you folks out there. And it's always, you see the number on the YouTube channel, there's 22,000 whatever subscribers, and sure, it's a number, but actually meeting people and being able to shake hands and say hi, and be able to talk to people about how they enjoy your videos and that kind of stuff, that's very humbling, and I wanted to say thanks to everybody that stopped by and said hi. So we moved on to day one of competition. Now, for the event, my dad was driving the Volvo the entire time, and I chose to drive my Fairmont station wagon. So he was actually the first one to make a pass. Overall, this pass was, sort of shaking the bugs out of, learning the car and that kind of stuff. My dad actually shifted from first right into neutral just because he wasn't used to how the shifter functioned, but he still managed a 10.00 in the quarter mile. But the impressive part was the 137.60 foot. Now, we hadn't even gone after the car with trying to leave with very much boost. That was only 3,500 RPM and 5 pounds of boost. So that showed really, really awesome promise. With my station wagon, I decided to try to foot brake the car just because I was having issues with the bump button. That went really poorly. The car I think it was 187.60 foot. It was horrible, total pig off the line, and it was clear that we were going to have to use the trans brake to get that car to move. From there, we went into the drive for day one, and that was pretty challenging. They took us through a whole bunch of stoplights. There probably was 150 stoplights, and most of them were red. So as you can imagine, both cars were starting to get pretty hot, And we had to stop a couple times to let them cool off so that we could get back on the road. We kept having issues with the Volvo where it would just lose a cylinder all of a sudden, and we diagnosed the issue, and it turned out one of the coils just stopped working. So we kept having to throw ignition coils at the car. Luckily, I brought 4 spares with us, and as the night went on, we went through 3 of those 4 spares, and it was pretty clear that we had some issue that just wasn't going to be solved. So we got to the point where we were broken down at a Citgo gas station, and I basically said, all right, we need to stop. We need to figure this problem out. I don't know why my Fairmont station wagon that has the identical coil setup is not having any issues. It's been through an entire drag and drive on those coils, and it never had an issue, and this Volvo is having issue after issue after issue. So we made a post on the Sick the Mag Facebook page and basically asked if any of the other racers had a set of LS coils with the pigtails and the spark plug wires that we could use to convert the car to LS coils. So at like 9 p.m. that night, somebody happened to have a set, and they stopped, so we got a set of 4, we got to work, and by the time we finished the first 4, somebody else stopped with another 4, and we were able to convert the car to LS coils. I want to say a huge thanks to Robbie and Evan out there. They are both fans of the channel, and they were participating in the sick ward portion of the event, and they stopped and helped us work on the car. You guys are awesome. Wanted to say huge thanks for all the help that you gave us. They actually helped us even more later on in the event, and I want to say huge thanks to you guys out there. So we moved into day 2 with a lot better prognosis. We actually had a car that wasn't constantly misfiring, and we decided to just turn up the boost on both cars and see how they performed. And on day 2, I actually got to make my pass first in the station wagon, and this time I left on the trans brake, and we went through the traps at a 971 at 140 something. I don't know, I'll put the time slip up. Then my dad went down the track in the Volvo. Nice! He went at 138 60-foot this time. He wasn't able to build as much boost, but the car went a 929 at 146. For the second pass on the car, it was really starting to show some significant promise. And we were really excited to get into day 3 to see how the car would perform. So we packed everything up and we headed off for day 2. And the drive was, they didn't have a route for the drive, so it was a whole bunch of highway miles. This went really smoothly, and we made it to the next track with minimal issues. So we went into day 3, and due to the limited size on the staging lanes, they called up A radial and B radial separately. So my dad got into the first group, and this is when it happened.
so I was taking pictures, but I have to get a video of this. Our Triumph and the Volvo. Love both these cars. It's so cool. They're running side by side.
This was really hard to go through. You know, obviously my dad probably had the hardest part of it, but both my mom and I had a lot of emotional stuff we had to go through just watching it. This is racing. You know, you do enough racing and eventually you're going to have a bad wreck. And unfortunately, it was my dad's turn. The car made a clean pass, 137 60 foot. It did better in almost every other incremental. It went through the traps at a 919 at 149 miles per hour. And just before the finish line, it let go. You know, a lot of people have been asking in the comments, you know, on the various posts that we've made about this, you know, what happened? So let's just start with that. So what happened? At around 1,200 feet, the engine decided that it wasn't going to hold together anymore. The connecting rod on number 2, it decided that it couldn't take any more power. And it exited the block, and it made some gigantic holes on its way out. It made a couple holes on the passenger side and a very, very large one on the driver's side. Because of this, despite having a belly pan on the car, it got oil everywhere. And, you know, the belly pan can only catch so much, but also on its way out, it was coming out with so much velocity, it actually blew a hole in the belly pan. And it got oil everywhere. After this, you can see in the video that it started to create a significant amount of smoke. Obviously, it was burning oil on the header. We have a couple theories as to why the car made a very hard turn towards the far lane. We think that either oil got under the tire and the tires were not able to grip the surface evenly, and because of that, it you know, essentially torque steered into the wall. Or it is also possible that some of the debris from the engine blowing up got into the tire and it blew a tire and then made its way towards the wall. Also, there's one more theory. There was actually somebody photographing down at the top end of the track, and he noticed that it looked like that the rear end of the car locked up. So, you know, I don't know if we had a rear end failure that also coincided with a engine failure. You know, maybe one or the other caused one or the other. Obviously, we don't have a lot of answers right now. The car obviously made a turn and it got into a tumble, and I think my dad probably tumbled probably 4 or 5 times, maybe more. And he tumbled over the concrete guardrail. At one point, it looked like he was close to 30 feet in the air, upside down and on fire. But luckily, he landed right side up, and they were able to get his door open. And the fire crew was able to get there very quickly and put the fire out. He sat there in the car for a little bit, and you know, the EMTs and everything, they were you know, checking him out, and he was able to pull himself out of the car. So we have a whole lot of questions, not a ton of answers from the whole situation. Once we have the car in our possession, we're going to totally dissect the car and try to come up with a better picture as to what happened. You know, obviously there's a hole in the block, so yeah, it was getting oil everywhere, but we just don't know why it turned so violently. So we'll have more videos in the future on that. So stay tuned for that if you guys want to learn just as we do. So anyways, Dad climbed out of the car. They put him on a stretcher, you know, neck brace and all that, and hauled him off to the hospital. And yeah, it was really challenging to watch. It really makes you think. You know, my brother, he sort of found out about the situation after the fact, and, you know, being an engineer, he did some calculations, and if you do the calculations, the amount of energy that the car has at 150 miles per hour versus going at 60 miles per hour is 6.25 times the amount of energy. Now, all of this energy that the car has to go somewhere. It has to shed that energy in order to come to a stop. And, you know, it just really makes you think. Now, I've said this to, you know, hundreds of people. I'm just glad that my dad's okay. I see a lot of comments from people of, oh, I'm so sorry about the car. I'm so sorry about the car. Don't be. It's a car. You know, we'll build more. Cars are replaceable. My dad is not replaceable. I'd happily give all the time, money, and effort that we put into that car. I'd happily give that away 100 times over to see my dad alive and okay. You know, we'll build more. You know, we're not done. We're not quitting. You know, we just have to, you know, do some investigation here. We need to look at the situation from a bunch of different perspectives, and we need to come up with a better game plan as to how we go forward in the future. Now, after this, he went to the hospital. They looked him all over. They did like 1 million scans on him. And, you know, they found that, you know, yeah, he was banged up, but, you know, he was going to live, and everything looked okay. Now, after all this happened, I was not comfortable making a pass in my station wagon. Like I said a couple times, that was really hard to watch, and I just needed to slow down and just process what happened, and I needed to get to the hospital and take care of my dad. So I chose to withdraw from competition. I couldn't go through with it. It just, you know, I had stuff I had to do. So I pulled my car out of competition, and I basically had to figure out how to get all the stuff that was in the Volvo into my station wagon, and we used that to drive around for a couple days. At that point in the week, like, I was over it. I was tired of being in a hot rod. You know, I could have done it, you know, if we were still in competition, but at that point I was just like, I need to drive a regular car. Like, this is just, I'm done. So at this point, Dad's out of the hospital. We loaded him into the truck, headed for home. But on our way out, we stopped over at the South Georgia Motorsports Park, and we just had a look at the car, just to, you know, have a look at it, grabbed a few things out of the car. So let's go to a clip of that. All right, guys, here's the car. It's pretty boogered up. So we'll be able to save a few parts from it, but yeah, I'm just glad that the cage did its job. You know, you can see how everything around it, all the sheet metal and everything, is just pressed down around the cage, but everything you know, that keeps the driver safe is still intact and still in the same shape that we put it in there. So I'm just glad that Dad was able to get out, and the fire crew did an awesome job at getting down to the end of the track and getting the fire out. So we're gonna grab a few parts out of this thing just to you know, get them out of the elements, and we'll probably pick this heap up in a couple days. But yeah, you can see how bad the rear suspension, you know, the whole rear there and all the brackets on it got all bent up from all the force that they were exposed to. And this whole rear frame section here is bent way up. You can see the gas tank there. That's where the fire probably came from, but they got that put out real quick. Looks like my three-way valve here took a hit, and most of the crap back here ain't gonna be usable. And you can see rear wheel totally shot. Lost my tires. But yeah, it's, you know, I'm just glad that the cage did its job. And but one thing I was curious about is where did my laptop go? So, you know, I have a SD card in here that maybe recorded some data. I was having trouble with it though, but I also had my computer there in the passenger seat, and I had it recording data, and well, I just found out where it went. It's kind of wedged in there a little bit, but as long as the hard drive is intact, you know, we should be able to get it out of there, and I should be able to get the data off of it. You know, like I said a bunch of times already, all that really matters is that my dad was okay, and you know, this is just sheet metal. This is just, you know, yeah, we put a lot of time and energy into the sheet metal and into the car, but I'd happily give all that away to see my dad alive and well, you know, 10 times over. So yeah, this thing is hammered. Yeah, I might grab the turbo off of it too, maybe the manifold. Man, this thing is hammered. Yeah, you can see the frame is bent there, and yeah, but yeah, let's show you what caused it. So if we zoom in here, you can see a pretty sizable hole here on the side of the block, but the other side is actually quite a bit worse. Yeah, you can see how bent up the frame is. I mean, overall, I'm really happy with how my welds performed. None of them cracked. Sheet metal around it did, but yeah, you can see down here we did have a belly pan on the car, but yeah, if you look, yeah, see that? See how like 1.5 feet worth of block is missing there? Yeah, that's what did it. I'm glad the other driver was ahead of my dad, and he didn't get hurt. But yeah, this is rough. So all right, I'm gonna get a few things off this thing, and we'll hit the road. We'll come back in a couple weeks and we'll grab this thing. Say hi, Dad.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, guys. We're gonna be back.
Yep, we just gotta.
It'll be tomorrow.
Yep, we just gotta get through it and It's
Holy crap, look at how long it rubbed on the roof.
yep. Wow.
You probably hit the cement area.
Yeah,
It snapped the strut off.
the other one's still up there.
Up where?
The other strut's still up there.
Okay.
Or no, it's right here. This one's
Grab the
still
cup
there.
holders.
Yep. No, I'm gonna grab my dash. I'm gonna grab, probably gonna grab the turbo and
Grab the wheel.
yeah, that one might be savable. This one's
You've been
junk.
Get the manifold.
Yep, yep. So, all right, we got some work to do. All right, here's our broken off rod. And as you can see, it's moving around freely and doesn't have any side to side, so it didn't spin a rod bearing, but that's what started it all. So after this, we headed home, and I had a whole bunch of time to just sit there and think. And I wanted to give you guys my my sort of takeaway from everything that happened. Overall, this was extremely hard. I've already said it a couple times. This was really hard. I don't ever want to see my dad on fire and tumbling through the air at 150 miles per hour ever again. And I don't wish that on anybody. I can still think about it hard enough to bring myself to tears. It just, I'm just glad he's okay. I'm just glad that he's okay. This was a huge setback. Please don't take this as complaining. I'm just, letting you guys know where we're at. This was a big setback. We had a lot of time, money, effort invested into this car, and it's pretty much a total loss. I had a whole bunch of plans for videos and content and different races that I wanted to take the Volvo to, and that's just not a possibility anymore. And my dad, he's been like just nothing but, oh, I'm sorry, son. I'm sorry, son. I'm sorry, son. And I just, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just glad he's okay. The car can go back to the junkyard that it came out of, and it can go into the crusher that it was destined for. It's okay. As we, examine and look at the car more, we're going to have more takeaways, but I have a few takeaways from just from the drive home of, processing the whole situation, and I'm going to tell you them today. First of all, we need to stop playing with stock connecting rods. If you guys weren't aware, we were running the OEM connecting rods in the Vortec 4200 that was in the Volvo. And we've run them a whole lot harder than what we were running them on the Volvo. The pass where the car kicked the connecting rod, that was only around 550 wheel horsepower. And we've run them well over 700 wheel horsepower. In fact, I did that in my station wagon at Midwest Drags last year. And it survived the entire event and never had any issues with, durability. So, as you can imagine, I'm pretty, confused. It's why did those rods fail at such a low power level? And because of that, that's it. No more. We can't be running stock connecting rods at that type of power level. It's not worth the risk. Another one of my takeaways is I don't think I ever want to go that fast without a funny car cage again. Overall, I'm extremely happy with how the car performed. The car did its job perfectly. You know, all of the welds on the cage were perfectly intact. And one thing that I learned from this whole deal is I can weld. So I'm super happy with how that all performed. And the funny car cage likely saved my dad's life. And because of that, I don't know if I'm going to be comfortable going, you know, 150 miles per hour without one, or at least some sort of seat that has, you know, some head containment. You know, I know that an 850 cert cage by NHRA standards is legal for, you know, around 160 miles per hour, but I don't think I can do that anymore. And our third takeaway that I'm going to give you today is, it sort of ties in with the last one I just mentioned. I need to slow my wagon down. My dad and I have talked about this in the past, and you know, my wagon's it's not safe. I know that it meets all of the NHRA requirements to go the speeds that it's going. There's nothing about the car that is illegal there. But it has a bench seat with no driver containment around your chest and no head support. Frankly, you know, I've been 151 miles per hour in that car with that same setup. And I don't ever want to do that again. Unless we make some changes to the car to make it safer. Yeah, it's a cool car, and I understand that a lot of people are comfortable with that level of risk, with that type of arrangement. More power to you. I hope it goes well for you. You know, I pray that you never get into an accident like we did with the Volvo. Believe me, like I wish you the best. I can't do that anymore. I'm not comfortable with the risk. You know, you do what you want. I'm going to do what I have to do. It is what it is. So this was really challenging. This was, I never want to go through this again. But my dad, he's actually walking around right now. He seems to have improved quite a bit over just the last 24 hours, and it's looking better and better every day. So thank you to everybody for your prayers out there. You know, the good Lord was obviously watching over him while he was tumbling through the air and on fire. I'm so glad he's okay. You know, if you feel sorry for us, we sell t-shirts for our YouTube channel, and links are in the description. So if you feel like supporting us, that's a good way to do it. With that, I think I'm going to end this video off here. We have a whole lot of cleanup to do. We got to slow down so that we can go faster. And, you know, I'd still do want to go faster. We just got to do it smarter. So make sure that you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Every dog has his day. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yep. See you guys.